Warning: this video contains flashing lights. Hello gorgeous people, what is going on? And welcome back to another video. Today I have something incredible for you. A newer analog horror series called Oakburn Opus. In this series we learn about the town Oakburn, where in 1997 a flutist arrived and a few days later the entire population of Oakburn vanished. Where did everyone go? What does the flutist have to do with this? Those are the questions that we're going to try to answer today while we react to every video in this series. But wait, you guys actually told me an interesting piece of information that I had to know before I jumped in. Oakburn Opus was created by REDDIAMOND, and REDDIAMOND has 2 videos on the Oakburn Opus so far. But they also have 2 other videos on their channel under the title of VHS Tales. Now, when I was looking at their channel, I thought that this was just separate stuff, you know, separate little videos, not connected to Oakburn Opus. But you guys told me that all of the videos on this channel are connected in some way. So today, I'm going to try my best to go through all of these videos, and we're going to find out what is causing the absolute insane situations that are happening in these videos. Because guys, this is genuinely some of the best analog horror that I've seen in quite a while. The detail, the sound, everything you're about to see is amazing. And like I said before, these videos were created by REDDIAMOND, whose link to their channel will be at the top of the description down below. Please be sure to go and support your analog horror content creators. And especially REDDIAMOND, they're severely underrated, so please, if you guys could go over to the channel and subscribe, even watch the videos for yourself if you want to, and then you can watch them with me after, I would greatly appreciate if you did that. But alright guys, enough of me yapping. Let's jump right in. VHS Tales. The Circles. Ethan Astor is a famous photographer from Etosavik, Alaska. On December 5th, 1986, his wife, Martha Astor, reported that her husband was showing a strange obsession with circles. He would constantly draw the shapes on the walls of their basement. He would also refuse to eat, sleep, or talk to Martha. But Ethan wasn't the only one dealing with such obsession. Many citizens from Etosavik started to show the same obsession with circles around the same time. The government issued an emergency evacuation from Etosavik a day before this strange incident. All of Etosavik's citizens evacuated except for the obsessed ones. Martha returned to Etosavik days later, only to find out that her husband, along with the dozens of other people who decided to stay, was gone. Okay, first of all, when I look up the name of this town, I don't think it actually exists, so I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right or wrong. I will say just off the bat, the premise of this, being obsessed with circles, is kind of reminding me of Uzumaki a bit. If you guys have never heard of the manga Uzumaki, basically in that manga, the town becomes obsessed with the spiral. The people that become obsessed decide to make a bunch of spirals, draw spirals, they become spirals. It's very, very weird, but it just reminds me a lot of this, so I'm curious to see where this is going to go or how this is going to be shown to us right now. Okay, I am seeing a circle. Looks like roots, kind of, right? December 5th, 1986, Etosavik, Alaska. Ethan Astor, welcome to Etosavik, the town where I live. What you're about to see is my town's haunting. We are not haunted by ghosts or monsters, but by simple shapes. The circles. They come every once in a while, and when they do, we evacuate the town. The people who decide to stay are never seen again. They will come in 5 days. I'll stay here. Astor's house, December 10th, 1986. Ethan, this is going too far. I no longer feel comfortable around you. You haven't spoken to me or left the basement for days now. By the time you read this, I'll be far away. Wait, no, I didn't finish reading. By the time you read this, I'll be far away. Please seek help. Martha. Based on the way that he's talking about the circles in the beginning, it doesn't sound like he's obsessed with them right now. It more sounds like he wants to stay to see what actually happens, but I could be wrong, because then Martha does write like, you haven't spoken to me or left the basement for days now. So maybe he wanted to stay anyway, but then ended up becoming obsessed with the circles. (5°F). It's pretty cold. At the door to the basement. Yeah, looks like it. Circle on the door. Circles on the walls. Night. Channel 5. Good night. All right. So yeah, we're in, did they say 86? I believe they said we're in 1986. Alert. Anomalous event approaching Etosavik. Seek shelter immediately. Yeah, so by now, I'm pretty sure they evacuated, except for the people obsessed with circles. Okay. Giant circle in the sky. I just noticed the circles on the wall there too. Sounds like someone's breaking the door down. make those noises. It's like taking over the entire house. Is this Ethan we're seeing here, or a cycle of destruction and rebirth? A curved line of events with no beginning. Circling light and shadow through time and space. A line which can never be broken, a line which has never been born. Yet it still exists. Oh. I'm happy now. The people who decide to stay are never seen again. Some say they joined the circles, and now I'm one of them. The circles. Dude, that was...
I'm not sure I understand.
Shut up, Siri. Red Diamond. The quality of this analog horror is incredible. I mean, this is really, really good in my opinion. Just the way everything's presented to you visually. Take away the story, just the actual, like, the way the text comes on screen, the way the images are shown, it's just so nice. And going through the house again when the circle comes and just watching how it takes over is just, it's really sick. I love this. I was fully immersed in this. Okay, so let's go over the story of this though, and maybe we could theorize a few things based off of what we've been shown. So right off the bat, at the beginning, we know that this isn't an isolated incident. Ethan tells us right at the beginning that they come every once in a while, and when they do, we evacuate the town. Now, how often every once in a while is not very helpful. Does that mean like every 20 years, every 50 years, every 5 years, every couple months? I imagine it's got to be like a pretty wide range of how often they come, because people still live here for majority of the time. I'm sure they wouldn't live here if this was something that happened every few months or every year. But the incident is happening. People start to become obsessed with the circles. A few days later, everyone is evacuating except for these people that are obsessed with the circles, because they're not eating, they're not speaking, they're not drinking water, they're not doing anything except for obsessing over these circles. And it seems the way that they're obsessing over the circles is by drawing them all over the place. I mean, that's what we see in Ethan's house when it's shown to us. And then it seems like the circle comes and then turns you into a circle, which is a very, it's so gross looking. I mean, it looks like he's just a circle of flesh when we see him with an eyeball and a few hands sticking out. It's interesting to me because when this thing comes, it forms huge in the sky, and then it seems to approach the houses of these people that are obsessed with the circle, and it sounds like they're knocking on the door, and then eventually the door bangs down, and you see like these veins almost look like they go through the house until they eventually get to the person that's obsessed with the circle and then turns them into a circle. Another thing is that it seems to mess with technology a lot. We did see the clock spinning at one point. We see the TV start bugging out and showing a circle. So this thing seems to do things physically and through technology, which makes you wonder how it gets people obsessed with the circles. Maybe it comes onto their TV and that's how they start to become obsessed. But the most interesting part to me is the whole thing that we're told at the end of this, which I'm going to read it back to you. A cycle of destruction and rebirth, a curved line of events with no beginning, circling light and shadow through time and space, a line which can never be broken, a line which has never been born, yet it still exists. I'm happy now. Based on how we're described that, it almost seems like this thing it can't be stopped. It seems like it exists outside of time and reality. So there's no way to stop it from the beginning. There's no end to it. It just exists and it's in this infinite loop and it always has to do this. These people that are obsessed with the circles, even after they're literally turned into a circle, they seem to still be at peace and they're okay with this. Now, after they're turned to a circle, obviously they disappear. That's what we were told. But then where are they taken to? Or do they just become a part of the big circle that we see? Or are they just taken somewhere else? I'm not quite sure. And it's even hard to understand what this thing really is, if it's even like a physical entity, because when you look at it moving here, right, it almost looks like it's just a bunch of electric waves with this big power source in the middle. But at the same time, I guess these could just be really thin. You know what I mean? Like, what if it takes all the people and then forms that? Oh, wait, now I'm wondering, like, do all of the people, maybe where they go is they end up forming this circle and then they go somewhere else? Because the big circle in the sky is separate from whatever this thing is in the middle. So maybe all of the humans that are turned into circles come together, form this gigantic circle, becoming one. This is very interesting, and it leaves you definitely with a lot of questions. Another thing, and I may be overthinking this, but I just want to include this because I feel like it's important. We see the clock spinning here as the circles are like taking over the house. And we are told at the end that this thing is through time and space. So is it playing with time here? Or is it just messing with the clock, causing it to spin? Because, this thing probably relies on a battery. And just like the TV, it's messing with. Just something that I did want to throw out there. Other than that, I can't see anything really else that I should notice in this. Again, I do agree even more now after watching that this takes heavy inspiration from Uzumaki, because Uzumaki seems to be similar, where the spiral comes around every so often and seems to pretty much devastate the town. People become obsessed with the spiral and then they end up becoming a part of it. So it does seem similar in that way. Now, I have been told that the VHS Tales part of this channel does link up to the Oakburn Opus, or at least it seems to, but I'm curious to see if we're going to learn more about the circles or if we're going to learn about a bunch of different crazy events that are all connected together. But enough of me yapping about this one. Let's jump into the next one. VHS Tales, The Starving Five. The description for this one reads, "Your quest for truth has granted you a void in your stomach, and now I shall punish you for it." So a lot less telling than the last video's description, that's for sure. I have no idea what to expect in this one. Let's just jump in. What are we looking at here? Something that's should not be real. 6 arms, 3 heads. The Starving Five. There is a place. December 21st. A creepy place of unforgiving cold. Cabin in the woods. Could this be in Alaska too? of desperate cruelty. We are starving. The engine is dead. A flimsy wooden shelter keeps us away from the... Goddamn. We are starving. The engine is dead. A flimsy wooden shelter keeps us away from the snow. Seems like we got some people stranded here. Damn. Those claw marks at the door? Heat escapes through the cracks. Our skin hardens. Okay, we got 2 guns. Animals sing and hiss, but nothing is seen. We are starving. Gary heard his lover's call. Natasha followed him blindly. Alex dreams unquietly. I watch the rumbling snow attentively. We are not starving alone. There's something else out there. My guess is it's the thing that we saw, like the diagram of at the beginning of the video. Hey, where'd you go? Come back. Who is it? Wake up. I did not like that. I don't like this POV. The anxious dreamer wanders unconsciously. Will you follow him? Took one of the guns. Both of the guns are gone now. December 17th. Wait, what was the date earlier on? December 21st, right? Yeah, okay, so now we're going back in time. But before we do, I need to go back here a little bit. So it was wake up, eye opens. Ooh, hold on. So whatever this thing is outside, it looks like it was already crawling in. Is this a window? It looks like it's a window. But if it is, how is its claws like seeping through like that? Then it immediately goes away. Now, Gary heard his lover's call. Natasha followed him blindly. Alex dreams unquietly. And then it says, I watch the rumbling snow attentively. So it sounds like 4 people in the cabin, and then the 5th starving person is this creature. And that's why they say we're not starving alone. So we have Gary, Natasha, and Alex. From what I'm understanding so far, Gary heard his lover's call, so maybe this creature somehow manipulated Gary into thinking that he heard his lover, and then he goes outside to find her. Natasha follows him because she's worried that he's going out alone, which is just leaving Alex and whoever the unnamed character is in the cabin here. But it seems like, based on how we saw the 2 guns, and then when we saw the 2 guns again, there was only 1 gun, and the last gun was taken. I'm gonna guess that Gary and Natasha took the first gun when they went out, and then now someone is woken up here, and it says the anxious dreamer wanders unconsciously. Will you follow him? I'm guessing that's Alex that woke up then from this creature, and maybe Alex takes the other gun and goes out to kill whatever this creature is. Again, we're being shown things in such a nice style. All right, let's jump back in now. Do you believe she's still there, alive? Alex, it's been a month. She is dead. The city is hostile. All it takes is one detour. Oh, hold on. City's hostile. All it takes is one detour, a miscalculated step, and you're gone. But Gary still has, albeit naive and delusional, hope that we can still find her. And who would dare to take that away from him? This is the least we can do. I suppose. We will look for nothing and find nothing, and somehow that's supposed to numb the pain? Perhaps. People disappear and are forgotten year after year, and everyone turns away because they fear the truth. Perhaps the mere attempt, even if redundant, to find the truth can take us away from this melancholy. Tomorrow we will leave in the morning. Natasha will give us a ride. Okay, so that's giving better understanding to why they're out there now. So remember when it said Gary heard his lover's call? It seems that Gary's love, whether it's his wife, girlfriend, whatever, maybe she got lost out here. So they go out there to see if they could find her. Even though it seems like the rest of the group doesn't think that they will, they think it'll be easier for Gary to come to terms with it if they go out there and they do find nothing. Like, at least let him have hope, at least let him try, and we'll be there with him. But now they're in this situation where it's too cold, they're starving, and they're stuck in this cabin. So that makes sense why he thought he heard his lover's call, at least, is because it would have made sense that she was in the area possibly, but that's interesting to know. Close. Closer. Almost there, Dimitri. Gary heard his lover's call. Natasha followed him blindly. They're both dead. Alex dreams unquietly. He watched the snow attentively. Is that teeth? You got the gun, right? Shall we starve together? Oh my god, his eyes. Morning. December 22nd. Who's alive? What's the cabin? So Dimitri's the name of the last one that went. Oh. Where are my eyes? You won't starve alone. January 1st. You won't starve alone. January 5th. Let me go. Won't starve alone. Wow. Again, wow. All right, so I'm going to wait. We need to go back to check one thing before I even give like a little rundown at what I think is going on. So a bunch of images flashed here. I want to see them. Missing poster. Dmitry Olov. Okay. Gary. Wait. Is that last name Astor? Gary Astor. The name of the couple in the last video, their last name is Astor. Ethan and Martha Astor. So Gary Astor looking for his lover. They would have to be related in some way. Natasha's missing poster and Alex's missing poster. I gotta write their names down. Now, it's important to note that you didn't see this, but when I first turned on this video, there were captions automatically on, and I turned them off because I was like, I don't need captions. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to hear everything fine. But I realized that the captions were on at the beginning of the video. And if you remember, at the beginning of this, there was no dialogue. So let's go back for a second. As you can see, not even a second in, and an exiled spirit rejected from the domains of the afterlife. The earth repudiates its flesh, preventing it from rotting. What does that mean? Refuse to accept or be associated with.
Repudiate.
Damned with an endless hunger, a mouth that can't eat, and a throat that can't swallow. It takes shame on its grotesque form, using every aspect of its unnatural physicality to lure and capture prey. Its objective, to bring upon the decay of men's flesh and ego. The creature can't eat, but its objective is to still kill. That's so interesting. I mean, that makes sense why the last guy, he doesn't eat him, he just lets him starve. This whole time, I've been sitting here thinking about this as like a completely isolated incident that could have also taken place in Alaska. But I do think this is directly connected to the circles now that I'm looking at it. I mean, this thing has a bunch of circles around its hands here and then one giant circle around it. And then not to mention, before Dmitry like passes out, his eye becomes this gigantic circle, which I mean, it can't be a coincidence, right? I mean, I know it's an eye and all, but... And lastly, this takes place, as we were told, on December 21st. Which is how many days after the circle incident? 11 days later? Because the incident occurs on December 10th and now it's December 21st. So here's what I think now. I think Gary Astor is obviously related in some way to Martha and Ethan Astor. And his lover, whoever that is, disappeared during the circle event. He's distraught over this and is determined to find her. So they go out into, I guess the wilderness, could be the wilderness outside of Vitosavik. I'm not really too sure exactly why they decided to go where they ended up going, but they're going to look for his lover. And in doing so, they become trapped in the cabin with no food. They're starving, they're cold, and they're stuck in here, and there's really nothing they could do. I guess the best option is to wait until morning because at least it'll be warmer and there'll be sunlight and they'll be able to see. But in that process, while they're in this cabin, things go wrong. They hear animals, but there's nothing to see when they look outside. And then obviously we get to the point where Gary heard his lover's call, so he goes out looking for her. Now, I just want to say that I'm still not sure how Gary heard his lover's call. I'm not sure if this creature can actually mimic human voices. I mean, in the intro to the video, it does say how the creature uses its unnatural form to lure and capture its prey. Maybe this is something that it can do. I'm not 100% sure, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. So he goes out, Natasha follows after him because she's like, I don't want you going out there alone. And now they're both gone. They're both out there. Dmitry seems to be waiting for them to come back or waiting for something to happen. And in the process gets woken up by the creature here, which we see at the window. But more notably, it seems like Alex actually left already. Because it says the anxious dreamer wanders unconsciously. Will you follow him? Dmitry decides, yes, I will follow him. Takes the last gun because it seems like Gary and Natasha may have taken the first gun, and he goes out there. We then see Dmitry getting lured by the creature saying, come closer, until eventually he finds what seems to be Gary, Natasha, and Alex all down. They're all down. They must be dead, I'm guessing. I guess the creature killed them some way. But for whatever reason, Dimitri, the creature, decides to do something even more horrible too. Dimitri wakes up the next day in the cabin completely blind, has no vision whatsoever. And instead of just being killed, the creature decides, you are not going to starve alone. It's me and you, and we're just going to sit here until you starve to death. And that's why it ends up going all the way to February 4th, which I guess would be, I don't know, how long can humans starve for? According to Google, a human can survive without eating for approximately 1 to 2 months. So that makes sense. He's out there for a month and like 10 days before he dies, around average. So that makes sense. And then the starving five is obviously all four of them, you know, Dimitri, Gary, Natasha, Alex, and now this creature, because this creature is also unable to eat. So this creature is just starving 24/7. Now, did the circle send this creature after them because they were trying to find victims of the circle? Do you just have to, as a citizen of Etosovic, when this event happens, when your loved one becomes obsessed with the circles and then vanishes, are you just forced to accept it? And if you don't accept it and you try to explore it further, you get punished? And that's why this event keeps happening and people keep living there, and you know, no one's doing anything about it, is just because if you do look further into it, you're just killed or you vanish. As we saw, you know, they were depicted by missing posters, which just goes to show that they were never seen again. Nobody knows what happened to them. Nobody ever found them. And again, even in the dialogue, it's hinted to this with people disappear and are forgotten year after year, and everyone turns away because they fear the truth. Perhaps the mere attempt, even if redundant, to find the truth can take us away from this melancholy. Then they even say the city is hostile, all it takes is one detour, a miscalculated step, and you're gone. So again, it's all hinting to the fact that this links to the circles. I'm sorry if you watched this and you were like, how is this guy not understanding the connection here yet? In my head, we were gonna get like the circles, the starving five, and then we're gonna get the next 2 sets of videos, which are gonna be another incident. And all the incidents were gonna be separate, but like somehow interconnected. And I thought the interconnection was literally just Gary Astor, not realizing, bro, he's related to someone that literally disappeared in the town. But this makes a lot more sense now of how this is connected. And now I'm curious to see what the Oakburn incident is and what happens there and how it's also gonna connect to this. So now we know that we could have creatures like this, but then we could also have the circle incident. So the range of these crazy things that can happen is so wide. I'm not even sure where this is going to go next, but I'm very excited. I do have to say, this is absolutely incredible. The way that it's presented, a story is presented to you, you could take it as it is and enjoy it, but at the same time, if you look deeper into it, you could see its connections and you could see deeper things that just expand the story overall, which is what I love. That is why I love analog horror. I love how well this is done, and the presentation is just different from other things. Again, I know it's the classic text on screen, but just the way that it's presented to us is so nice and unique and creative, and the vibe is just so, I'm locked in. I'm loving this right now. So here we go. Let's jump into the next one. Oakburn Opus, Part 1. Lake Oakburn, 1997. Old Oakburn population vanishes overnight. The whole population. 2024. Classified information from the Oakburn case is leaked by anonymous sources. A new light is shed on the case, which branches into countless theories, hypotheses, and discussions. The following images are based on the manuscript's findings belonging to an anonymous inhabitant and a restored cassette tape depicting the phenomena. Oakburn Opus, Part 1. Evidence 1. Oakburn's flutist. On a cold morning, the outsiders stumbled upon our gates and quickly became a welcomed guest through the sweet and captivating melody of his flute. My people brought him into our village, a secluded place west of the Tosovic Mountains. We provided the flutist food, water, and shelter. And in return, the man continued to enchant our people with the tunes of the winds. Oh. The children adored him, soothed by the melodic blow. Men and women respected him for the great entertainment and happiness provided by the flute. To the more humble folk, the flutist was a gateway form of art. Look at the horns it has too. It's like something straight out of a fairy tale. Symbols shown on their heads now. He hid them under the veil of reality. Impossible to breathe beyond existence. Keep looking. Do not follow the melody. Old Oakburn. He adapted to our customs, ate and drank from our kitchen, hummed our chants, and honored our altars without even voicing a single thought. The flutist used the wind as his words and melodies as his speech. Oh God. Within the wind, it hid Fang. Within the wind, it breached our spirit. Within the wind, the flute burned the veil. Evidence, handwritten records, author unknown, recovered by Martha Astor, 2002. Okay. Evidence 2. The magnum opus. Okay, so Oakburn is like a village west of Vitosevic, and they seem to be experiencing obviously another weird thing with this man with the flute who does nothing but use his flute. And obviously, I mean, they said like he ate, he used our altars, all things like that, but he doesn't actually voice a thought. He doesn't actually speak. He just does these things. It's very interesting. Obviously, Martha Astor doing something in 2002 is interesting. She must have been heavily affected by the fact that Ethan disappeared back in 86. So maybe now whenever something like that happens around the area or anything weird happens, she's also trying to help find the truth, or at least find evidence of things going on. Evidence 2, the magnum opus. 1997, the greatest flutist of old Oakburn announces the completion of his magnum opus. A presentation is set to happen Friday night at Lake Oakburn. Hundreds of men, women, and children gather near the lake in anticipation. They all seem so happy about it. Wait, interpret. Follow. The music. Identify, interpret, and follow. Identify, interpret, and follow. Identify, interpret, and follow. Left. Left. IPD, Tosovic Police Department. Right. Both. Is that him on the water? Come on, buffer, come on. Oh, that screaming and then silence. Morning after, old Oakburn woke up to silence. 1,043 inhabitants disappeared overnight. After quick and inconclusive investigations, little evidence was found. The existence and whereabouts of the flutist remained an unanswered enigma. That was until 2003. The search for old Oakburn's population continues. Nah, come on, man. You gotta tell me what happened in 03. Come on, you gotta tell me what happened in 03. Oh my peak. This is incredible. This is genuinely incredible work. The audio is so well done. And I'm not just saying that because they were playing audio left and right. That I've been there before. But just the vibe, that atmosphere is so encapsulating. How do I even interpret this? I don't really know if there's much to actually speak about because it's pretty on the surface there. Now the symbol is very, it's shown a lot and it obviously has some kind of importance. Now they did show, we have this here, this like statue, or I don't even know what to call this, but it clearly has the symbol on it. And when he starts playing the magnum opus, it starts to glow red. Now what do we think happened? Where did they go? It's a bunch of screaming. So they saw something or witnessed something. They all start screaming and then it's just silence. Now I'm guessing they didn't just fall into the lake because I'm pretty sure they would have found them if they were in the lake. I'm not sure. We're clearly missing things here, and that's why there's a part 2. But what is going on here? What am I looking at? I mean, these are teeth. These are eyes. I get that much. I guess these could be the horns of the creature, right? Of the flutist? Man. Now, what happened in 03? Do we just jump into the next one? Oh, man, I gotta jump into the next one. I gotta jump into the next one and figure this all out. But it seems like everyone loved this guy. Like, they were just under the trance of his flute and how incredible it sounded. But, all right, so this here, these, like, it looks like people in the sky, right? And then you could see, like, the outline of the flutist here. But it almost makes me, like, it makes me wonder, like, did they just float into the air? And then, I don't know, I could be overthinking that. Keep looking, do not follow the melody. Obviously, they were following the melody like sheep. They were all obsessed with this guy. Yeah, Old Oakburn, Etosevik's hidden gem. Now, obviously, other than the fact that it's Etosevik and Martha Astor, I can't really find any direct connections to the Circle or to the Starving Five here. Yeah, I think I have to jump to the next one to get more information. And then I'll try to come up with a conclusion after that. All right, here we go. I gotta know what happened in 03. On to the next video. Oakburn Opus, Part 2. I will say the description for this one says, "He knows well his wicked ways." Warning, this video contains flashing lights and images. Oh, that's interesting. There's water dripping at the beginning of this video and last video. Are they in the lake? I feel like if they were, they would have discovered them. 2003. 25 miles from Lake Oakburn. Le Lebedev residence. Oh, huh, wait. I believe this is the last name of Alex. I wrote down here Lebedev, but I believe it's because the letters were distorted. Lebedev, I believe, is Alex's last name. Now, obviously, Alex is long gone at this point if it's 2003, but I mean, obviously, the rest of his family could have lived on. But that's just interesting to note. Oh. Two gunshots. I stood upon their blood. I stood upon the weapon. I stood before the flute. And the drowned city arose beneath my feet. December 10th, 2003, IPD. The melody crawls in. The voice under the veil commands. And the vessel answers. The Lebedev murders. What stands before you, Detective Astor, is not a person. I exist incarnated in a vessel of the arcane. Incarcerated. I will entertain you, feeble sense of justice. I will share you my tale. He knows well his wicked ways. Red Diamond presents Oakburn Opus Part 2. This is incredible right now. Oh my god. I feel like I'm watching a movie. December 10th, a call is made to the Etosevik Police Department from the Lebedev household. December 10th, by the way. The caller confessed to having committed murder. Jackson and Oliver Lebedev were dead, their bodies aligned in the darkroom. The Lebedev brothers, naturalist photographers of Etosovic, searched to capture the empty landscape of the mountains. The criminal was never identified. For the convenience of this investigation, the killer will be addressed by the pseudonym John Doe. Evidence 3. A timeline based on the interrogatory of John Doe, conducted and recorded by Detective Martha Astor, 2003. December 5th, 2003. John Doe is led by the melody of a wind instrument emanating from Lake Oakburn. The symbol Segment 1. Conditioning. The flutist. John Doe. From the very first moment the flute touched my mind, I was sure to have been struck by something otherworldly, roaming the depths of the lake. Near the lake, John Doe encounters a monolith. On the surface of the smooth rock, a symbol was carved. A circle and 9 triangles. Okay, so that's like right on the lake. Wait, let me just go back. Was that the symbol? You're different. 9 circles and a triangle. It's quite literally the opposite of the other one, which is the circle with 9 triangles. Interesting. I witnessed in clear and inscrutable reason the flute and the man. They taught me wisdom from the bottom of the lake, the drowned city, and the millions who rest there. He raised me in that instant as a vessel. The emblem etched upon the rock, the beautifully profane assortment of a circle and 9 triangles, suddenly gleamed in crimson hue. The song wove a web, his desire in an instant made clear. In the flute I discerned the will of expansion which I was to provide. After the encounter, John wanders the mountain for 5 days, allegedly in a deranged state of mind. December 10th, 2003. John comes across the Lebedev residence. Is that a pickaxe in hand? Segment 2, Execution. John Doe. It is common for many inhabitants of remote areas and hidden places to forget their front doors unlocked, a naive custom, often conditioned by the emptiness surrounding it. Always lock your doors, man. More VPS. Through the window, I beheld his lichened shape. A specter whispered, in evoking horror, his unfathomable name. More VPS. More VPS? A name in the melody. And from the profane blade touched by Morpheus's fangs, I cut their eyes open in the dark room. 11H42. John Doe furtively strikes the Lebedev brothers. Jackson takes a pickaxe hit to the thigh, snapping the femur and is left debilitated. Oliver drags Jackson to the darkroom at gunpoint upon performing a suboptimal tourniquet. Oliver Lebedev, time of death, 12 hours 7. 12:07. Jackson Lebedev, time of death, 12:16. Oh, Martha, the sole reason I stand before you, narrating my tale, contributing to your futile pursuit of a comprehensible truth, is to convey you his message. He calls you to the lake, your good friend beneath the veil. Visit the drowned city. Your failure to heed his warning will bring the same fate upon you and the few living folks you love. You will drown too. In defiance of John's alleged method of murder, the bodies of Jackson and Oliver were found in contradictory conditions. Agents at the scene first observed vascular marbling, skin discoloration, and bloating in both bodies. An autopsy analysis revealed pulmonary injury, insinuating that drowning was the cause of death. Okay, so that was the Oakburn Opus, and right now we're going to go over part 1, part 2, and how I think all of these videos could be connected and just everything overall. Let's go over the flutist. He shows up in Oakburn and he plays his flute, and apparently it's fire. Everyone in the town is like, oh my god, this guy's amazing. And apparently he never speaks a word, and everyone just kind of follows him and, you know, enjoys the music. And eventually he gets to the point where he's like, guys, I'm gonna play my magnum opus for you. And they're all like, oh my god, yay. Gotta be a little more serious. And then they all go to Lake Oakburn and he plays it and everyone vanishes. Everybody was cheering at first, but then we hear screaming and then it's just silence. And you're kind of like, well, where did everybody go? How did they all just completely vanish? And on top of that, the flutist disappears too. I believe the only way that they knew about this was through like records that they found from inside the houses of these people, you know, those writings on those books. Now, we learn in the second one a lot of talk about the drowned city. So it sounds like all of these people were drowned in the lake. Now, personally, I'm quite surprised if they're just at the bottom of the lake, because I would think that if they found out that all these people disappeared at the lake, they would have checked the lake to make sure nobody was dead in the lake. But I don't know, they could be just deeper under the lake. By the way, it definitely sounds like they're in the lake, since it's constantly referred to as the drowned city. Now, what does confuse me though is just the insane turn that the flutist takes. You would think when the flutist comes back 6 years later that he's gonna do the same thing again, or at least attempt it, but no, he plays the flute, gets one person to hear it, and pretty much brainwashes them to do what he wants them to do, which is commit 2 murders. And he kills the Lebedev brothers, which again, interesting because Lebedev is the same name as Alex Lebedev, who was in The Starving Five. But anyway, he kills these 2, calls the cops, says that he committed murder. Nobody knows who the actual guy is apparently, because he's referred to as John Doe. And then when the police show up, he confesses to now Detective Martha, because I'm guessing when her husband disappeared, she kind of couldn't accept his fate, so she decided that whenever something crazy happens in Tosavik, she wants to look into it, becomes a detective, or maybe already was a detective, but now she's got new motivation to try to discover what's really going on behind all these mysterious incidents in Tosavik. But she's there, and this guy tells her everything that went down, including the fact that this guy's name is Marvipius. I'm definitely mispronouncing that. Marvipius? Marvipius? I'm not sure. I'm gonna keep saying Marvipius because I'm a goofball. But he says his name's Marvipius. He says that the flutist told him to kill these 2 people, and he did it. He also says that his message is to tell Martha to go to the drowned city. Specifically, he says, he calls you to the lake, your good friend beneath the veil. Another really interesting thing that this guy says is, they taught me the wisdom from the bottom of the lake, the drowned city, and the millions who rest there. Millions? I thought it was 1,000 people that vanished. What do you mean millions? How many times has this maybe happened in history that people don't necessarily know about, that wasn't documented? Or is there a chance that maybe all of these events link together, you know, the circle incident, this Marvipius incident, and that creature in the woods, and maybe all of the bodies end up going into this lake? Maybe that's how they're all connected. But I just thought it was interesting that he said millions, because it's like, where are those millions coming from? Another weird thing that I thought happened was the flutist appears on December 5th, and then the murders happen on December 10th. Similar to how in the Circles video, Ethan talks to us on December 5th, knowing that he's gonna stay and wait to see the circle, and then December 10th is when the circle comes and transforms him. I just think it's interesting that same creator on 2 different stories chose the same dates for an incident to start and end. Where I think specifically the Oakburn Opus story is going to go next, I do think Martha is actually going to go visit the drowned city, or the lake, whatever you want to call it, and I guess we'll see what happens there. I can't even really interpret where this is going to go next, because I never would have guessed that part 2 of that would have been that the flutist gets 1 person to murder 2 people. But it does seem like the flutist really wanted him to do that, so there must be some purpose and reasoning in that. We also get to see the new symbols in part 2 of Oakburn Opus, which we only got the main symbol in the first one, which was the circle with the 9 triangles. Then we see a triangle with 9 circles. Not really sure what that's about. Now, I do want to go over though how I think the stories are all connected. I think you can watch each of these and realize that they're their own separate stories and enjoy them that way. But looking deeper is interesting, because obviously we get similar last names. For example, Gary Astor in The Starving Five, and then we have Ethan and Martha Astor in the Circles video. Same with Alex Lebedev in the Starving Five, and then we have the Lebedev brothers in Oakburn Opus Part 2. Now, it's interesting that Gary's lover goes missing in the Starving Five, right? But does she go missing because she also ran into the same creature that we see in the Starving Five? Or did she go missing because of the circle incident? It's kind of hard to tell because we're told that the Starving Five happens on December 17th to the 21st, but we're not told what year, like in the circles video. So it could be the same year, it could be completely different years. So there could be a connection there. Like it could have been because of the circle that she vanished and they went out exploring for her and ended up running into this creature, or she found this creature and that's how she went missing to begin with. Another possible connection too is when we see the creature in the Starving Five, it's surrounded by circles. Now that could be a thing just for the diagram of it, I will say that. Like I feel like some of these connections I'm making a stretch with, but there's one that I thought was so interesting. When we're shown the creature at the beginning of Starving Five, it's in a specific position, and the flutist does the exact same position in Oakburn Opus Part 2. And that can't be a coincidence, man. It makes you wonder that is the Starving Five creature the same as the flutist, given that they do the same position, and it even seems like in some of the images that we see in Oakburn Opus that the skull of this thing could be similar at times. Another thing I want to point out is in the picture of what I believe is the flutist in Oakburn Part 1, it does look like it has 3 mouths and just 3 faces in general, which is just like the creature from the Starving Five. I don't know, it's just like the series has so many possible connections, but it's just not solid enough for me to link it together. But I know for a fact, the fact that they do the same exact pose cannot be a coincidence. That has to be a connection, whether they're the same creature just under a different name, or whether they're 2 different creatures but linked by something. Again, there is a lot of circles in the Starving Five and Oakburn Opus with the symbols, so that could be connection, but that could also just be a stretch. But what I do know is that more is coming. Red Diamond made a community post basically saying that 2025, we're back. I personally really enjoyed these videos. I don't know what it was, whether it was just how the sound design was done or how the story was shown to us, but I just really enjoyed it. You could tell that these stories at their core are inspired by other things, but I do really enjoy the connection that they could have together as a whole, all of these videos, and just how interesting it is. You know, you go from people being turned into circles to an entire town vanishing to a creature that can't actually eat anybody but forces them to starve. It's all just really interesting to me, in my opinion. Also, all of these things that we talked about, these possible connections, these theories that I might have, these are all my own thoughts, and I would love to hear yours, so please let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. But obviously, huge shout out to the creator of the series, Red Diamond, whose link to their channel will be at the top of the description down below. Guys, I'm telling you, please go over to Red Diamond's channel, watch these videos for yourself, go and subscribe, try to get them to 10k, because right now they're at 7.6k at the time of recording this, and I'd love to see them hit 10k or beyond, just because it's always great to support your analog horror creators. Again, you can't get these videos from me if you don't go and support them. Please go and support your analog horror content creators. I just really enjoyed the series. It was kind of different for me compared to some of the recent stuff that I went over, so I hope you guys enjoyed it too, and I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts on how I think these things might be connected. Like I said, I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. Also, if you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to drop a like on it, and if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe. We're trying to hit 1 million subscribers before the end of the year. And alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.